Let's see if I remember how to do this. Hey, where have you been? Welcome to the Last Show Podcast. I'm Kortney Shane Williams. I'm the host of the Last Show Podcast. I am a stand-up comedian based out of Tampa, Florida. This is how I get down when I feel like getting down. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, man. Find the podcast. Check out my website, KortneyShaneWilliams.com. Instagram, Twitter, at Kortney Shane. I think I'm on TikTok somewhere, you know what I mean? But if it's up to Ramaswamy, you know what I mean? He's shut the whole game down, dude. So I'm here. Where have I been? That is the question. We're going to get to that later. I don't have time to get to that, dude. I was out of the podcasting game, but I got to address some suckers. You know what I mean? Because there's some suckers amongst our mix that needs to be addressed. I was completely out of the podcast game. I don't know if I did a podcast for years. I'm out of retirement, dog. I'm like Michael Jordan with the 4-5. I'm out here in the garden. I'm about to drop a double nickel on somebody right now. We got some suckers out here, some losers and suckers and losers. Ain't that what Trump called? Okay, that's what Trump called the people in the army, suckers and losers. Happy Veterans Day, by the way. Happy Veterans Day. Nothing brings your mood down more than Trump, his old grumpy face. But I'm here to address some suckers, man. Michigan, look like Michigan. Jim Harbaugh is about to get suspended because they had some cheating going on amongst their midst. And I was minding my own business today. I turned on ESPN. Desmond Howard, he on TV like he about to cry. Desmond Howard on TV talk about they're going to suspend our coach, and they haven't gone through due process. This ain't a court of law. Dude talk about due process. Don't nobody care about your due process. Suspend them. Well, this would not be happening if this was the SEC. If you was in the SEC, you'd already have 3 losses. It wouldn't matter no more. Jim Harbaugh would have been fired too. Jim Harbaugh almost got fired in the Big Ten, and there's only 3 good teams. Don't worry about the SEC. Stop trying to act like you something you ain't, okay? And that's what this all comes down to. You tried to be something you ain't. You tried to be winners when you're not winners. So in order to be winners, somebody went and started filming the sidelines and trying to cheat or not cheat. And the thing about it is you've never been winners before, so you don't know how to cheat effectively. You tried to be something you ain't. Ohio State, I'm sure they got a bunch of cheaters out there, but see, Ohio State is a bunch of winners. So when we cheat, we don't get caught. And if we do get caught, you know what happens? We keep winning. Because deep down, Ohio State is just a bunch of winners. In Michigan, y'all are losers. And that's just who you are. Stop trying to be better than what you're going to be. All right? And you got caught. Serve your punishment. You're shooting above your weight class. You tried to go out there. You see, you're the desperate girl at the drinks you're the desperate girl at the bar buying drinks for dudes. You know what I mean? Stop trying to be something you ain't. Take your punishment. Desmond Howard on TV crying. First of all, Desmond Howard, you need to get your life in order. Because Desmond Howard, you from Ohio. You signed up to be a loser. See, some of y'all are just born into that. You know what I mean? I understand. If you're from Detroit or Ann Arbor, that you were born a loser. You know, my heart goes out to you. But Desmond Howard, you weren't supposed to be a loser. You were supposed to be over here. You were supposed to be running with the winners. You were supposed to be one of the rock boys. But you want to be out there wallowing with the pigs? Gonna take your suspension. Well, what if this was Ohio State's coach? That's my favorite. You know what I mean? Everybody that says, what if this was Ohio State's coach, hasn't been paying attention to Ohio State fans. Don't tip me with a good time. I mean, you can take Ryan Day off the sideline, be one of the most enjoyable Saturdays of my life. They've been trying to fire that dude since he got the job, and he only lost like 3 games. Hey, if Ryan Day was the Michigan coach, he'd be in the Hall of Fame already. If Ryan Day was the Michigan coach, lifetime contract. That's not good enough for us. You want to know why? Because we're winners. So be the losers you are. Take your suspension. Desmond Howard, stop crying, and listen to the rest of the Last Show podcast. It's called The Last Show, because this may be it. Welcome back to The Last Show podcast. Stir it up. Stevie. That is a Tribe Called Quest. Midnight Marauders came out 30 years ago. All right, so let me say something about this. So, Midnight Marauders might be my favorite album all time. Like, All time, all time. Midnight Marauders is first. Q-Tip is a genius, a genius. I didn't understand the genius of Q-Tip until like I saw a documentary. Oddly enough, Michael Rappaport did the documentary, and I can't stand Michael Rappaport. It's that one. It was like that phase of my life where like when I used to see Michael Rappaport like as a kid, I'm like, oh man, he talks about sports and he does movies and he knows Spike Lee. So it was like the white guy that was like, man, he is cool. And then I got to hear him talk a lot, and I can't stand the guy. But I will say, I think it's called Beats, Rhymes, and Life. It's a documentary on A Tribe Called Quest, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And Q-Tip is just a straight up genius. He's one of them sneaky geniuses. Like now he getting some love now, but Flavor Flav, straight up like just musical genius. Kanye West, just a musical like genius when it comes to like certain stuff like that, man. And that's who he is, man. So shout out Midnight Marauders. But Midnight Marauders it's one of those albums that transports you. When I listen to an album, especially for the first time, I always try to listen to it in like an antiseptic environment. You know what I mean? So nothing about the environment can affect my listening experience. And then I don't link that to listening to that music for the first time, and it kind of sticks with you. You know what I mean? So like there's certain albums like I can think of like that are like really good albums. I don't know where I was when I first listened to it because the environment was so antiseptic. But and even if the environment is a bad environment, if the album's good enough, it can overcome it. Like Magna Carta Holy Grail is one of the worst albums I've ever listened to. The thing about Jay-Z is even when Jay-Z makes a bad album, he puts a couple bangers on there. But I remember exactly what I was when I listened to Magna Carta, and it was terrible. The album's so bad it couldn't overcome it. Midnight Marauders, I can't remember the first time I listened to the album. But the album is so good, it just transports you. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That's an album. It's so good. I can't remember the first time I heard it. It's so good. It transports you to another place. The Chronic. It transports you to another place. They're great. The Blueprint is a great album, but I remember exactly the first time I heard the Blueprint. I know where I was. I remember everything about my experience with the Blueprint. It's a great album, but it doesn't transport you. Reasonable Doubt transports you. College Dropout transports you. And that's the kind of album Midnight Marauders is. Midnight Marauders, the whole theme, the concept is just straight genius. It's a tour de force of Q-Tip and Fife and Jerobi. It's all at their peak, man. So 30 years, Midnight Marauders. 30 years ago, Enter the Wu-Tang Clan, 36 Chambers came out too on the same day. I found that out yesterday. They both came out on the same day. I had no clue. You know what I mean? Because in 93, like rap music was banned in my house, you know? You know what I mean? And I grew up in Florida, so now you can only listen to the rap music that's close to you. So I was listening to a lot of Trick Daddy, you know what I mean? Midnight Marauders didn't enter my system until I got to college. You know, once I had my own car and I could, slide by Sam Goody and buy my own stuff, man. The pod. All right. So where have I been? That is the question. I think I haven't put up a podcast in it'll be 2 years. In January it would have been 2 years. So what have I been doing? So basically, last podcast I did, it was right before my album came out, and that was a very exhausting process. Just very, very exhausting. I put a lot into it. So my plan was just, to take a little bit of time off until I felt better. And as I took off more time, I felt better and better. And I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to do it again. And time went and time went and time went. And then I started toying with the idea of coming back. But once I was away from the podcast for such a long period of time, I wasn't sure if it was something there worth coming back to, There's so many podcasts, even in the last 2 years, there's so many more podcasts than there was before. And it's not like I have this huge audience listening. So my resources of time started to get really short. Especially after the album, it started to get really short. I started developing other interests, and I just didn't have time for the podcast. I just didn't have the energy to then go do the podcast. Like, this was an extreme amount of work. So I was like, if I'm going to do it again, I need to do something that's different with what it has to be worth my while. You know what I mean? And I don't want to work. You know what I mean? This does not need, as soon as this becomes a burden, I'm out. You know what I mean? I'm going to get my Africa ticket ready. I'm just being real. And that's the reason the show is called The Last Show, because at any point in time, I could be out of here. You know what I mean? So I was like, if I'm going to come back, I want to do something different. So I started toying with the idea for probably over the last year of like, and I would get to a point, I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I just wouldn't do it. I just didn't have anything that I thought was different. And I just see all the other options out there. And I was like, I don't have anything better than what they're doing. So if I ain't got nothing better than what they're doing, what am I doing this for? You know what I mean? I'm not doing this for money. I'm not making no money off of this. I'm not doing this, because I love it. You know what I mean? I don't love it. I like talking to the people that come to the shows, so that was a driving force. But other than that, what's the benefit? What's really the benefit? Unless I have something that they're not doing, something that can be unique. And to me, something that will make people want to listen. I'll do it for that. So I have some concepts. I have some ideas. I have some things that are going to be different about the show that weren't in the show before. I have some ideas, you know what I mean? So as time goes on and as I start fleshing out those ideas, you'll start seeing those pop up in this same feed. It may not always be necessarily a podcast in the podcasting style, but it's going to be content in the feed. My goal is like, how can I get consistent content in the feed without doing a lot of work? And that's going to be tough to do, but I am determined. I am determined not to work. And please believe me. I am determined to not do anything, man. So I have a feeling like, I got some good stuff coming up, and I got some things that, I think it'll be pretty cool, man. So all you guys that got this in your feed today, thank you so much. Share the show. And I'll be back. There's some things I want to address, you know what I mean? But I'll be back. We're going to keep this one short, and I'm going to stick to what I want to do. So episodes will probably end up being a little bit less, but your content hopefully will be a little more frequent, and hopefully some things come up that just are a little bit different. So I got some things that I'm working on. I think I got some really good concepts, man. But thank you guys for listening to the show, man. That's it for today. Wrap it up. Thank you for listening to the Last Show podcast. Kortney Shane Williams, subscribe to the show, share the show. I'm really excited for all the new things the show is going to be, man. And I'm back on that bicycle, dog. I feel like doing another hour. I might just turn off the mic and talk to myself inside of this room and put myself in one of them jackets that hug yourself. It's been real. Have a great weekend. Subscribe to the feed, and stay tuned. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
And COVID was in there somewhere. God bless. But that COVID was in there. God bless.
Aha. Aha. What do you know from funny, you bastard?
Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
God bless.